I'm surprised. I ask myself, why did the IDF, which knows full well that we're basically dealing with terrorist organizations, even though Iran is a state, it behaves exactly like Hamas and Hezbollah. I ask myself, why did the IDF, which knew in advance, and the cabinet approved this ceasefire, why didn't the IDF keep dozens of planes in the air, and the moment they launched, before the ceasefire took effect, when they launched the missiles, they should have already hit Iran with a massive airstrike. That's what should have been done.
We're after the announcement of a ceasefire, or a so-called ceasefire, with tensions from Iran at a pace we haven't seen in a long time, and with a very, very severe hit in Beersheba. It's really a mixed feeling. On one hand, truly phenomenal achievements by the IDF and the US in Iran. But on the other hand, a sense of bitterness this morning as we woke up to the loss of precious lives here. And we really want to understand if this was the right moment, if this is how a response should look. I also hear, even as we're speaking, that there are still alerts here and there, being heard across the country right now. It's 10:30 in the morning after. With me is Middle East expert Yoni Ben Munakim, a senior commentator at Epic. Hello, Yoni.
Good morning to you.
Why can't we fully rejoice this morning, despite all our achievements?
We can't rejoice. The ceasefire has come into effect, but it's a very jarring and painful note for the people of Israel, with 5 people murdered and a barrage of rockets on the city of Beersheba. Like Hamas and Hezbollah, I ask myself why the IDF, which knew in advance and the cabinet approved this ceasefire last night, why didn't the IDF keep dozens of planes in the air, and the moment they launched, before the ceasefire took effect, when they fired the rockets, they should have hit them from the air with a massive strike against Iran. That's what should have been done. I ask myself why this wasn't done. But look to the point. I think that despite the phenomenal achievements, as you mentioned at the beginning of your remarks, we missed a big opportunity to bring down the regime in Iran. We made a big mistake that on the very first day of our drone attack on Yemen, on the 13th of the month, the list of targets we eliminated did not include the supreme leader of Iran, the new Hitler, whose name is Ali Khamenei. We had a golden opportunity in the opening strike to eliminate him, and that would have greatly helped bring down this regime, both him and his son, Mojtaba, who is planned to be his successor, and who is hiding together with his father in an underground bunker in the north. His location, at least on the opening day, was known to Israel. Israeli intelligence should have eliminated him, taken him out. And look, today, just minutes after the news broke about the murder of the 4 civilians by that missile that hit the house in Beersheba, the Iranians posted a picture of the leader on one of their sites, smiling, pleased, talking about victory with a devilish grin. Yes, with a devilish grin.
Dear viewers, please note, there is currently an escalation in attempts to silence Tove Channel. Naftali Bennet is suing Tove Channel for no less than 250,000 shekels. A gag lawsuit by a former prime minister against an independent media outlet in a democratic country. This must not happen. If he wins this lawsuit, the channel, Tove Channel, might be shut down. And that's why we're raising 500,000 shekels so we can keep bringing you bold content and fight those who are trying to silence us. So, our request is, support us. All the details are in the link below the player, and we will be grateful for your support.
Now, I also want to remind you that this man, among his other heinous deeds, is also responsible for the horrific massacre on October 7th. We must not, even though some time has passed since that massacre and the war is still ongoing on several fronts, we must never forget who is responsible for that massacre, and they must be avenged. and he must be eliminated. So I found a rare photo on one of the Iranian websites. In the photo, on the right, you see the Iranian Hitler, Ali Khamenei, and on the left, the Palestinian Hitler, Yahya Sinwar. This is actually the only photo of the two of them together, taken in 2012, and recently the Iranians uploaded it to their websites. This Palestinian Hitler, Sinwar, we've already eliminated, and we should have also eliminated Ali Khamenei. I hope it's not too late to go in that direction. We need to see where this ceasefire develops. I'm very worried. Last night I heard an interview with the Vice President of the United States, J.D. Vance, on Fox News, where he says that President Trump now wants to turn this ceasefire into a long negotiation process for a long-term agreement regarding Iran's nuclear program, regarding the activation of its proxies, regarding its ballistic missile system, and this is apparently also supposed to include the Gaza Strip in some way, maybe the release of the hostages, maybe the withdrawal of IDF forces from Gaza. All these things are very worrying, especially after Trump announced, you remember his post a few days ago, total surrender, that's what he wrote in English. So now they want to go into negotiations with the Iranians, and that's very, very concerning because it ties Israel's hands as long as there are negotiations. And it can't act, it can't break the promise to President Trump, especially after the assistance we've received.
So there's something here I don't understand, because from what I understood, part of the reason for going for a ceasefire here is to allow Israel to operate like it does in Lebanon, with complete air superiority. After all, we have unparalleled capability. The Air Force can operate at any given moment.
I haven't seen any evidence of that in any media outlet, and even in the statement the Prime Minister released this morning about the cabinet discussion, it wasn't written anywhere that there are understandings between us and the administration, that we are adopting the same arrangement as in Lebanon, a ceasefire, and Israel can act if the other side violates it. I haven't seen anything like that regarding Iran. So that makes this even more concerning. And you also see that the ceasefire in Lebanon, although the IDF enforced it forcefully, can't be the same thing with Iran. What? Every time we see some movement of a launcher, or some reconstruction, a new building at one of the nuclear sites that were destroyed, suddenly they're building a new building. So what? Are we going to start sending planes every day, 2,000 kilometers away, to bomb there? That doesn't seem realistic to me.
So what's the option? After all, they'll rebuild, they'll keep provoking us.
I'm getting to what the option is. I think, first, there is no agreement, at least as of this hour. It's not known that understandings reached in Lebanon apply to Iran. There's no thing. You haven't found an American, I haven't heard any announcement, and you haven't found an Israeli. And certainly the Iranians haven't talked about this either. So that's one thing. Second point, look, we were not allowed and we are still not allowed to end this campaign with Iran, which is a victory for Israel, without cementing that victory. Every campaign against Iran must end with the overthrow of this Ayatollah or Nazi regime, and the elimination of the new Hitler, Ali Khamenei. Otherwise, what will happen? They'll stay in power, and they'll start rebuilding again using methods of deceit and trickery. They'll wait for Trump to finish his term, and then start rebuilding the whole thing from scratch. I want to remind you that we still haven't completely eliminated Hezbollah in Lebanon. We still haven't eliminated Hamas in Gaza, certainly not the Houthis, and certainly not the Iraqi militias, the Shiite militias in Iraq. they'll start rebuilding this entire axis again. That's why you see the picture of Adif and Minayim.
I have to tell you, and honestly, this is how I feel. I already started saying this at the beginning. I feel that this should have ended on a clearer note, and that the rules of the game really do need to be changed. And definitely, every rocket fired should be met with a very harsh response. And like you said, why didn't they leave planes there? I agree with all of that. As for the demand to declare that we are going to topple the regime, we see that this could be a double-edged sword.
We don't need to declare. We don't need to talk about it at all. We just need to do it. I don't agree. You can't complicate the war effort. There will never be a regime more Nazi than this one. So, without talking, without announcing, that's what should have been done on the first day of the war, and it's still not too late. So, without talking, without announcing, that's what should have been done on the first day of the war, and it's still not too late. The moment Israel has even the slightest excuse, it must attack and eliminate this Nazi, Ayatollah Khamenei, his entire gang, without announcing regime change or anything like that. First of all, he is responsible for the massacre on October 7th, and just like we eliminated all those responsible for the massacre, we should have eliminated him too, regardless of toppling the regime, and that wasn't done, but it's still possible to do it. And I'm telling you, the moment you eliminate him, you'll greatly help bring down the regime. You don't need to announce it, you just need to do it.
What about Gaza? In your opinion, will this agreement in any way affect what's happening in the Strip, if we'll see the hostages home soon?
That's exactly the gift they've received, that now we, the Americans, will enter into an agreement with them, into negotiations, and will try to include the Gaza Strip in it as well, and it's clear to you that this agreement won't include the destruction of Hamas or the miraculous victory. That's obvious to everyone. So what have we achieved with this? We'll be left stuck with this Nazi regime in Iran, stuck with the regime. The Hamas regime in the Gaza Strip, maybe they'll return the hostages, maybe, but they certainly won't agree to step down from power. And we still have Hezbollah in Lebanon. We still have the Houthis in Yemen. So what was the wisdom in all this? Why did we go into this long war? We had to eliminate them all, and we still have to eliminate them all. I don't really see the logic here. As you said, regarding the ceasefire, we don't have freedom of action. At least I haven't seen any proof that we can operate in Iran the way we operate in Lebanon.
If it turns out that, in the end, let's say, at this point, yes, Netanyahu insisted, and we see the planes there responding, maybe even today to the shooting there, does that reassure you more?
No, the murder, yes, that is precisely what I am referring to, the act of murder. Yes, with this missile fire, you won't see it, because according to the agreement, they committed this murder a few minutes before the ceasefire came into effect at 7 in the morning. And so, as if within the framework of the agreement, they didn't violate the agreement. And therefore, Israel has no excuse now.
You mentioned Syria, Assad's regime, a brutal and oppressive government that has clung to power through immense violence and international condemnation. But here you see that in Gaza, Hamas, a militant Islamist organization, isn't falling, despite significant military pressure and ongoing conflict. So it's either yes or no. So again, I'm telling you, I don't know. Mary answered, and I respect everyone, of course, who appears on this channel. Very serious people and very serious experts. Individuals with extensive knowledge and experience in their respective fields, who contribute valuable insights to public discourse. I disagree a bit, And I'm also very cautious, because before the ceasefire, a temporary cessation of hostilities, I heard all kinds of former senior officials from the security establishment, highly experienced individuals who once held significant positions within the nation's defense and intelligence apparatus, from that Oslo school, the Oslo supporters, a group often associated with a particular political ideology favoring diplomatic solutions and concessions.
These approaches are not acceptable to me. Maybe you don't agree with me. I don't know what to tell you. When I hear senior people, former IDF generals from that same Oslo school, once again repeating these same nonsense, sorry for using that word, then I get very, very worried. And actually, I was pleasantly surprised when I saw Yossi Cohen, the former head of the Mossad, who appeared on one of the channels, and he said, "Don't call him the supreme leader. This is a despicable person and he must be eliminated." So that's the approach I agree with. I see that I'm not alone in this. At least there's at least one more sane strategist like Yossi Cohen. So listen, these are very dangerous things. There are certain senior figures, not in the government, but outside of it, who are connected to the opposition and to the Oslo Accords, who want to bring about an end to the war, a very quick end, without Israel achieving the victory it needs to achieve. That applies to Iran as well, and it also applies to the Gaza Strip. We haven't achieved victory in Iran, despite all our great accomplishments. As long as this Nazi regime remains in power, we could end up back at square one. That it will recover, rebuild its capabilities, and reconstruct this axis. This is why we had to eliminate it. And I still say, I call on the government, on the cabinet, find the right opportunity, without making declarations, without saying that our goal is to topple the regime, just remove this Iranian leadership. That will bring about a very significant change in the Middle East.
Look, there's no doubt we join that request. We're talking a matter of life and death, no question. If the rule of the Ayatollahs is eliminated, it will be a great blessing for the world and for the state of Israel. On this matter, I have nothing more to add.
We generally have quite a bit of understanding between us on these issues.
You can't sum things up for me. I'm just asking, within this spectrum, I want to understand from you. I'm looking for a professional's insights to understand. Is there even a compromise here?
We have to settle things according to the rules of the Middle East. Imagine, compare what's happening to a boxing ring, where we're boxers, the Israeli boxer versus the Iranian boxer. In the fight, the Israeli knocked him to the ground, and now we're helping him get back up and stand on his feet, instead of attacking him while he's down and giving him the knockout, finishing him off. So what wisdom is there in that? Now he'll get up, he'll drag out the negotiations, and they'll start putting pressure on Israel, and there will be pressure on Israel to also reach an agreement in Gaza. All of this doesn't bode well for Israel after such a long war. I think this is a very bad thing, but it's still possible to fix it and give that Khamenei a knockout.
And we should wait and see, too, because honestly, I agree with everything you said. My working assumption was just that the Lebanese arena has now been recreated in the Iranian arena. If that doesn't happen, you're right, and this victory, it becomes a draw or a loss, unsatisfying, and it completely takes us back to square one. My thinking right now is that Israel has changed the rules. It can keep operating there, and it will continue to make them pay a price. I really hope that both you and I will happily continue this conversation and admit we were wrong and that things did work out. But right now, we really need to be careful, keep track, and see where things are headed. Yoni Ben Munakim, Senior Middle East Expert, Editor at Epic Website. Thank you very much for this conversation. And with God's help, we will win and hear good news.
Dear viewers, please note, there is currently an escalation in attempts to silence Tove Channel. Naftali Bennet is suing Tove Channel for no less than 250,000 shekels. A gag lawsuit by a former prime minister against an independent media outlet in a democratic country. This must not happen. If he wins this lawsuit, the channel, Tove Channel, might be shut down, and that's why we're raising 500,000 shekels so we can keep bringing you bold content and fight those who are trying to silence us. So, our request is, support us. All the details are in the link below the player, and we will be grateful for your support.